says, we'll just make your movements quick. Please do not stand on the upper deck, and the reason why we ask that is because the way that our boat is designed at the back boat, we have our big hats. Today we also have a fantastic Ben. He's at the back of the upper deck if you want to turn around and give him a wave. Yes. Now, talking about employers, let's talk about mine off to the right-hand side there. The world's tallest cantilever observation wheel. The lastminute.com London Eye, standing at 135 metres tall. Cantilevered because it's only supported on one side. Those two metal beams going into the embankment are all that's holding it up. Observation wheel approaching here. We nicknamed the bridge the Ladies' Bridge. Why do we call it that? Well, during the Second World War, while most men were away fighting on the front lines, 95% of the women that rebuilt this bridge after it was destroyed during the Blitz were made up of women. Now, I tell you two things about this bridge, and really it's the only two things you ever need to know. The only bridge to be completed on time and on the budget. This is genuine city roads. Now, it is illegal to have stationary advertising here on the River Thames. So with that in mind, I direct you off the front of the boat, to the right, red brick building, white stripes, singular grey tower, and a little green egg at the top. You may think that grey tower spells the word OXO, O-X-O. Here in Britain we have a beef stock company, a gravy company called OXO. In the 1930s, this was their cold meat storage warehouse. Now, does it spell the company's name? No, it doesn't. You're blind, you're seeing things, and the sun is in your eyes. And that's kind of what a lawyer said to a judge when they were taken to court in 1932 for their illegal skyline advertising. A real lawyer stood in front of a real judge and said, "No, I know the law, you idiot. We've not spelt the company's name. All we did was order a random selection of geometric-shaped windows and put them in a random order." Well, the judge believed them, meaning OXO became the only company to legally advertise here on the River Thames. Many people believe that was the last case the judge ever worked. He did become a bit of a laughing stock. They get worse. Let's talk about the St Paul's Cathedral over here on your left-hand side. That is the 6th iteration of St Paul's Cathedral, built by a man called Sir Christopher Wren after the one previous was destroyed during the Great Fire of London back in 1666. Construction started on this one in 1670 and was completed in 1710. Now, Sir Christopher Wren, very religious man, also believed that pineapples were a symbol of wealth. So the original designs, he wanted a 60-foot golden pineapple to go on the top of that dome there. That's right, a piece of fruit. Obviously, somebody stepped in and said, "Listen, Wren, you're not sticking a piece of fruit on top of our cathedral," so they went with a more traditional cross instead. But if you look at the clock towers to the left-hand side there, those two golden objects, guess what they are? Pineapples, but at 6 feet rather than 6 feet. Now, the reason why London Bridge is so famous is because it was the original crossing point into what the Romans called Londinium over 2.5. Because now, squint, it is really hard to see, I know, because it is in this Arctic camouflage, but if you look really carefully, to your right is an 11,500 ton World War II light cruiser. That is the HMS Belfast, built in the same docks as the Titanic, but thankfully this one had a much better career. Credited with the liberation of Europe after firing those first shots of the D-Day landings, it sunk one of the Germans' most notorious warships, the Scharnhorst. In the 1950s, it was decommissioned. It was purchased by the Imperial War Museum for £1 coin and floated here as a memorial and a museum to all those that are totally honest. All the appropriate hashtags only, please. Hashtag London Eye River Cruise, hashtag Tower Bridge, not London Bridge, hashtag Get It Right Fergie, hashtag Mark is the best tour guide in London. I guess you're the most likes, I hear. I don't sit in the evening just liking every single post. Guy Fawkes, that man we talked about earlier on, he was brought here, but they made sure he knew he was a royalty because they tortured him for 3 weeks beforehand. How nice. Now, unfortunately, guys, commoners like me and you, we were only executed outside on Tower Hill. That's where the tube station stands today. Executions took place at Tower Hill until only 1944. Probably not as long ago as you think. A man called Joe here towards the front. It's called the Walkie Talkie. Britain's highest garden on the top there, the Sky Garden. Bars, restaurants, a garden, a viewing platform, and the best thing about it, it's entirely free. You don't have to pay to go to the Sky Garden, just reserve a time slot online. If the Sky Garden is booked up behind it, the building appearing is... So here she is again, directly in front of us. This is London Bridge. Now that nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down, we've all heard it. Well, guess what? It's true. Not did it fall down once, not twice, but 3 times. That's why in the nursery rhyme you say it 3 times over. And they kept falling down because the Romans and those afterwards kept putting far too many arches in it. The water would rush through, causing the bridge to erode and collapse. those bombs, they used to hold up the St. Paul's Railway Bridge that crossed this mountain in the late 1950s, around 1956. When diesel trains were far too popular, the bridge started to crumble under the weight, so they needed a brand new bridge, which is the one you just passed underneath. But the team getting rid of the old one was being paid less money, so they worked at a much slower pace. Now for the oldest thing you'll see on the river today, that's that big stone obelisk on your right hand side along the embankment there. That is Cleopatra's Needle. And that is older than London itself, 3,500 years old. That was later on gifted to the British Empire by the Egyptians after we helped fight off Napoleon's forces during the Battle of the Nile. Yes, you heard correctly, that is gifted to the British Empire. They didn't steal this one. Everything we stole, that's in the British Museum. In 1999, the Ministry of Defence actually took the London Eye to court. They argued that international spies could board the London Eye, go all the way to the top, use binoculars to look through the windows of the Ministry of Defence to see classified documents. Not a James Bond plot, a genuine court case. Now it went to court, but the judge turned around and said, "You are the Ministry of Defence, just buy some curtains." And they did. It was thrown out pretty quickly.
Já stiano finendo, diceva.